Donald Trump is a scab. Donald Trump is a billionaire, and that's who he represents.
Let's talk about the labor movement.
I've been talking about Michigan for a long time. We can't let them take your car industry out.
The former president, Donald Trump.
President Trump spent 4 years in office distinguishing himself as the most anti-union president of the last 3 decades.
And unions.
He appointed Eugene Scalia, one of the nation's top anti-union lawyers, to be his Secretary of Labor. Under Trump's administration, the National Labor Relations Board implemented sweeping new rules that made it harder for workers to form unions, rules, by the way, that Joe Biden reversed when he took office.
Trump can give word salads on how pro-union he is, but his record speaks for itself.
Donald Trump has a history of serving himself and standing for the billionaire class, and that's contrary to everything that working class people stand for.
We want a general strike. We want everybody walking out, just like they do in other countries.
As UAW President Shawn Fain understands quite well.
Trump packed the courts with anti-labor judges, people like Thomas Farr, who spent his career bringing cases before the courts to weaken unions. President Trump made it harder for workers to earn overtime, and he gutted the federal agency in charge of workplace safety.
And it's why we see ads such as these airing.
Donald Trump, he's not a good man. He's not a good person. He does not care about anybody in this world except Donald Trump. That's it. That's all.
The NABU's Sean McGarvey, seen here, spoke out against the ex-POTUS.
Now he's looking to get in that position again to exert revenge on people. I go all the way back to the 80s with Donald Trump and him trying to, get his mug on page 6 of the New York Post. The only difference between the Donald Trump of the 80s and the Donald Trump of today is he feels totally free to let his dark side out. And his dark side is very, very dark. I can tell you that he personally committed to me that he was going to get our pensions fixed. He understood who was affected by these pensions. He assured me, I'm the President of the United States, I'll just call Mitch, I'll tell him to put it in the bill. Is everybody going to love me? Everybody loves me, right? Is everybody going to love me? Yes, Mr. President, you fix the pension, everybody's going to love you. Well, that was wasted breath. There was lots of other things put in that bill. There was tax cuts put in that bill for rich people.
When the leaders are telling everyone how much of a con artist Donald Trump is, believe them. There's another person who despises unions and aligns with Donald Trump.
Well, all the things that I believed in for all these years, 50 years of coaching, no longer exist in college athletics.
Former Alabama and LSU head football coach Nick Saban. Saban joined Texas Senator Ted Cruz, a man who objected to the results of the 2020 election, to not only brown-nose Saban, but join forces in a show for the cameras to inform the masses of their stance on NIL. They hated it. In short, they hated it because the pendulum would swing from the most powerful to the people that they call amateurs, which of course they are not. If one is unfamiliar, the legendary head coach owns 2 Mercedes dealerships in the state of Florida under the business name Dream Motor Group. In total, he owns 9 dealerships in the South. From AL.com, Saban has been an investor in luxury car dealerships for many years with Dream Motor Group, already the owner of 2 Mercedes locations in Birmingham, one in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, the same site of the college campus LSU, which is where he coached football previously, one in Nashville, and another in the Houston area. Saban's son, Nicholas, is part of the management team at Mercedes-Benz of Birmingham. To give one an idea of Saban's reach, Ole Miss running back Quinshon Judkins using NIL money, the same money that Saban is opposed to. Well, Judkins bought a Mercedes from Nick's dealership. How about that? So, nonetheless, why do we bring up unions, you might be asking?
For 3 decades,
Mercedes has pulled in billions in profit
off the millions of cars we've built.
Mercedes executive pay goes up,
while Alabama auto workers fall further behind. The brand may be foreign, but the labor is American. American non-union auto workers are getting a raw deal.
That's why over 1,500 of us at Mercedes in Alabama have signed union cards.
And are joining the United Auto Workers.
Because there was a showdown in Alabama of corporate greed against workers organizing to join a union. And it was a bitter battle.
The union could not guarantee you anything.
Over a 3-year contract, UAW stands to collect tens of millions of dollars in dues deducted from paychecks.
I believe you shouldn't have to pay union dues and generate millions of dollars per year for an organization where you have no transparency where that money is used.
They have pretty much shown a video, if I'm not mistaken, every single week about the union.
What you just saw are the fear tactics that Mercedes used, but also, as we have shown on this very channel and on this very network, other billion-dollar businesses use to fear-monger and stifle the organizing labor power to join a union. And what they're fighting are the benefits that it would have to workers. From time, unions are responsible for bargaining contracts between workers and employers that guarantee anything from better working conditions to higher wages. On average, union households have received 10 to 20% better pay than non-union households, according to one study. When benefits are considered, that improvement can rise to nearly 30%. And while that is certainly a boon for the workers themselves, corporations must adjust both their balance sheets and employment practices to acquiesce to the contracts. That's at the heart of the battle between the two forces. Now, many, as I said previously, many have fought this and even fired those for trying to organize. And that goes for Amazon, Tesla, Starbucks, to name a few.
In 2019, Delta distributed pamphlets to flight attendants and ramp service workers warning that union fees would cost $700 per year. But here's what they didn't mention. Unionized workers earn $700 more per month. Weird how they left that part out, isn't it? Amazon wallpapered its warehouses with anti-union ads. Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz claimed he had no choice but to exclude workers at unionizing stores from new employee benefits. Apparently, when you're the boss, you can just make stuff up.
At the end of the day, the reason for the Bezoses and the Howard Schultzes fighting unionization is rather simple.
You know, the weapon of mass destruction against the automotive industry has been 2 words: corporate greed.
And many started catching on to this dangerous trend set by billionaires. Now, what do I mean by this? Recently, in a huge victory, Volkswagen workers in Chattanooga, Tennessee, voted to unionize in what could only be considered a blowout. Via NPR, 73% of workers gave unionizing the stamp of approval. It should be noted, Fain and the UAW attempted to organize twice previously, in 2014 and 2019, with both efforts faltering. Now, with unionization, it comes with a few less jets that a board member of Mercedes can afford, or less yachts that they can set sail on. And knowing that the tide is shifting, Mercedes decided to call in their ace.
Hi, I'm Nick Saban. Welcome to the all-new Mercedes-Benz of Birmingham Irondale campus.
That being Nick Saban, in an exclusive report from Axios, here is what we learned. Saban was sent down to the plant in Birmingham to talk to workers at its auto manufacturing campus. Nathan Bomey would write, Saban owns multiple Mercedes dealerships, and as reportedly said, he does not endorse the UAW's campaign. Kay Finkley, a quality inspector at the site and a member of the UAW's voluntary organizing committee in Tuscaloosa, would say they don't stop the line for hardly anything, but they shut the line down, and they had a meeting with Nick Saban to talk to us about teamwork and the tactics and methods he used as a football coach, because you see, it's a tactic that corporatists put forth. Hey, come on now, y'all. We're a family, right? We all work together and love each other, right? Let's bring in arguably the most successful college football coach to give you some motivation, which, by the way, he really doesn't like that you guys are unionizing. Why would you unionize? When one advertisement aired, Saban wanted to double down and make it crystal clear. I do not personally endorse the UAW or its campaign. And sadly, it appears that all of their fear-mongering tactics worked. Via CBT News, according to the National Labor Relations Board, 56% of the approximately 5,000 eligible workers voted against unionizing, with more than 90% participation in the election.